had a history of trying to come to these kinds of resolutions, haven't been able to do it. On the other hand, I think at least for some members of Congress, probably a majority, the recent shutdown was not a pleasant experience, and they'd like to avoid it. The Democrats want to get rid of the sequester. The Republicans want some changes in the tax code. They're worried about the effect of the sequester on defense anyway. So, you know, there's some things that both sides want. And if we can find a middle ground, I think it's entirely possible. I still believe the Affordable Care Act makes sense. I think it's going to help the country. I think it's going to help millions of people to get health care. But, I mean, everybody knew what the deadline was for months and years. And to not have this work, just technically, is inexcusable. I'm beyond frustrated. I mean, I myself spent 2 or 3 hours trying to get through on the website over the course of the first week or so. I think everybody needs to bear responsibility. I mean, I read a headline yesterday that said the president didn't know about the problems. Well, you know, that in itself is a problem. He ought to be saying, you know, why wasn't I told? Why was this allowed to happen? Yeah, hemorrhoids have a higher approval rating, I think, than Congress. How do you think that makes me feel?
How do you feel about that?
It's terrible, but it's deserved. I mean, you know, when you can't, what's the most fundamental function of any government? Pass a budget, pay your bills. If you have to struggle for 3 weeks to do those two things, you know, it ain't working very well. So I understand the public's frustration. On the other hand, the public does have to understand that there are people now in the Congress who don't want it to work, and for whom this gridlock is success. I mean, it's a weird thing where you run for an office that you hate and you don't want it to work, and therefore the more you can gum it up and slow it down, you sort of turn to people and say, see, I told you it wouldn't work.